Hey, folks, welcome back to the Nerd Zone with a new guest host and my close friend Tavian. Welcome to the show, Tavian.
Nice to be here. Nice to be here.
So, you're an Elder Scrolls nerd, huh?
Absolutely.
Okay, are you an Imperial or a filthy Stormcloak?
We are 110% Imperials here.
Hey, the Stormcloaks are the proud sons of the North. They're the ones who have the rights to Skyrim.
The Stormcloaks are cucked and brainwashed by none other than Ulfric Stormcloak, who was kidnapped by High Elves, beaten and tortured until he followed their step and then sent back to Skyrim to cause chaos.
Heresy, heresy, heresy.
So, these are just facts.
Talos, man, he was a proud son of the North, and the Empire forbid his worship.
Talos was a Breton.
Heresy. But in all seriousness, lol. Yeah, so you're an Elder Scrolls nerd, huh?
Yep.
What's your favorite one?
Um, Personally, story-wise, I really like Skyrim. I really
Oblivion.
like the Alduin the World Eater storyline. I like the
Oblivion.
Civil War storyline. Oblivion definitely had better mechanics. Morrowind, I watched some gameplay, I watched some playthroughs, but when I first booted that up, I got absolutely decimated by a rat on my first playthrough. It's not the best experience, so I stuck to playthroughs
Right.
on YouTube for that one, but I want to get back into that at some point.
So, what would you say about Elder Scrolls as someone who's never played it? What stands out most about it?
What stands out the most about the Elder Scrolls? The lore, the depth of lore in the Elder Scrolls when it comes to video game series is incredible. The dedicated fan base and the modding community for the video games are tremendous, massive. They're huge.
Yeah.
I've never seen a community more dedicated to the Elder Scrolls than their community.
Are you familiar? There's not a Skyrim mod that allows you to play multiplayer.
Yeah, I saw some gameplay of that, and I'm looking forward to it. I know they've been experimenting with multiplayer.
It's out there. It's out there.
Yeah?
It's just a beta right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I know they've been experimenting with multiplayer mods for a long time. I remember back when I was in high school, maybe 2018, there was a really primitive multiplayer mod that came out. It was super glitchy, but showed promise. But now I see that there's another mod out there that
Who's your
really
favorite?
allowing people to play
What
together.
god do you worship in Elder Scrolls?
God, do I worship
What
an Elder Scrolls?
Daedra have you sold your souls to?
Well, being a Skyrim player, I've sold my soul to all of them, but if I had to
Hoard
pick
yourself
one in
out there.
particular- Yep. If I had to pick one in particular, probably be Meridia or Boethia. I really like Boethia's culture.
Praise Morlock Ball. Praise Morlock Ball.
Molag Ball, it's a little too intense for me, but I
He's
see
my
the
Lord and
appeal.
Savior. He's my Lord and Savior. And Vivek and him had a relationship.
If you want to call it that, yeah.
Look it up. It's pretty twisted.
Yeah. Personally, I'm more of a Mara enjoyer. Have you played the Skyrim mod Beyond Reach?
Yes, I have.
Oh, that's probably the best mod I've ever
Have you played the Great War mod? The war
Yes.
between the renewed war between the Altmer Dominion and the Empire?
Yes. Ooh, speaking of, dude, the new Elder Scrolls game that's coming out?
ESO.
No, the
6?
yeah, Elder Scrolls 6.
When's that coming out?
When's that coming out? I heard
The end of time?
earliest- yeah, from what Bethesda does, yeah. That's what it feels like, but from what I heard, it comes out the earliest would be 2026. They got a few other projects they're working on, like
Starfield, which
and-
looks base.
Yeah, I heard they're doing some other games too. Fallout 6 or Fallout 5 was announced too.
Nice.
Which I'm looking forward to that.
Wait, Bethesda had their E3 announcement?
I don't know. I saw a post on an official fan page
Okay.
where they said that Bethesda announced Fallout 5. But back to the Elder Scrolls. The Elder Scrolls fan base has pretty much confirmed that the new Elder Scrolls will take place in Hammerfell.
What's the story? Who's the main enemy? Who is the apocalypse?
I don't know, but I have a few theories.
Go ahead, sure.
The Great War, the remnants of the Thalmor. I don't know if you know anything about Hammerfall and their politics, but they are extremely anti-Thalmor.
Oh, yeah.
They're
Elf Nazis.
Yeah, their battle has been raging on since the Great War began. They actually broke off from the Empire because the Empire stopped giving support, from what I remember.
Because the Empire cucks.
No, they're based, but they had to make some diplomatic moves because they were both the Empire and the Thalmor were at odds with each other, and they had to
Make a choice.
make a choice. Um, but
What's your theory?
I'm thinking that the main story of Elder Scrolls 6 will actually be around the Thalmor and the Great War. I think that the main story will be centered around the main character fighting off the Thalmor from Hammerfall. I think we'll get a lot more insight on the Great War in the next game.
So here's my theory. I got from some posts a while back. I don't know if it's Is a theory. So there's this. They released some new information. It's either gonna be like the last ESO expansion pack or the next Elder Scrolls game. So it's gonna be a War of the Gods, a Daedra civil war, and the player, will be caught up in the civil war between the Daedra gods, which I'd be stoked for. That'd be cool.
That would be a pretty cool spin-off, yeah.
Yeah, and tell me if I'm wrong. Aren't the Thalmor a Daedra cult? I've heard that in the lore somewhere.
I know that in the Elder Scrolls Somerset, the Elder Scrolls Online expansion pack, of course.
Which we'll get to in a bit.
Yeah. From what I remember, the Thalmor, they have a really secret background. They're a very secretive group. I don't know too much about their worship, but I wouldn't be surprised if there is some Daedra worship caught up in there, because they are a pretty sadistic group of people.
Now getting to the main cusp of this talk show, Elder Scrolls Online. How do you rate it? Is it what would you say? Is it a bad game, or is it one of the best games they've made? And how do you feel about
mechanically, the gameplay, I think it's all right. But the story, that's what we're there for as Elder Scrolls fans. We love it when they introduce new lore things into the games.
How's you as an old hardcore Elder Scrolls fan feel about the lore?
I feel wonderful about the lore that they've introduced into the Elder Scrolls Online. With the newest one, High Isles, as much as people like to say about it, they did have some issues. However, they gave huge insight onto the Thracian Plague and the All Banners fleet.
Yeah.
That we heard about, but they never really got into in any of the other Elder Scrolls games. And the end of the story, not to spoiler alert, but it gets really deep into that. We get huge insight about the All Banners fleet and how they attack the Slode.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't ESO like a treasure trove for hardcore lore fans? Like, it explains like so much things we've been waiting for years to see.
Oh yeah, each expansion pack is a huge just addition to lore that we've all been waiting for. It's like they feed us with every expansion.
So what I love about ESO is the massive world, the alliance wars, the various factions. The world is so alive. There's like Daedra gods all over the place. Each year a new Daedra god's trying to invade the world, cause the apocalypse. Personally, my favorite is Blackwood.
Yeah, I'd say that would be my favorite too. I really, as a Argonian enjoyer, I really enjoyed running through the swamps of Blackmarsh. I loved seeing Blackmarsh because it's the first time that we've actually got to see Blackmarsh in its entirety and not just like little snippets here and there. Huge boost of lore for Blackmarsh as well.
And Maris Dagon invading, the subplot, the Imperial remnants, the freaking going to... Okay, Fargrave was awesome. The Oblivion, going to Oblivion, fighting off hordes of Daedra. Those public dungeons were great.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm talking about. Going to Mirren Dagon's realm, fighting for his hordes of Daedra. It was like an Oblivion freaking callback. It was awesome. Yeah. What's your favorite expansion pack?
Personally, my favorite expansion pack was...
Aside from Blackwood.
Honest to God, my favorite expansion pack was probably, I forgot the name of it specifically, but where they introduced Windhelm. We actually get to see a lot into what the past Windhelm was like. In Skyrim, Windhelm wasn't really... That's kind of like an empty shell of what Windhelm used to be. Windhelm, remember, was one of the first human settlements in
yeah.
And seeing second era Windhelm was incredible. It was huge. It was massive. We even get to see some of Ulfric Stormcloak's ancestors, which is really interesting because I didn't know that their ancestry went back that far into the second era, but we got to see We got to see how,
The vampires,
yeah,
the werewolves.
yeah, and we got to see how the government structure back then worked, how much bigger the city was, how much more hustle and bustle there was in the streets of Windhelm.
Okay, let's just say this: the cities are amazing. I
Absolutely.
love going to the cities. They're gorgeous. There's like players all over the place. You know.
Yep, there's always something happening.
Yeah. I loved Vanderfall, Morrowind.
Yeah,
The Morrowind closest thing we've gotten to a Morrowind like anniversary edition. Come on, that was epic. Going inside the city for the first time while it's being built, the world, the artwork was amazing.
and seeing the tribunal, the three
Yeah.
living gods, not in 64 pixels. For the
As in
first time.
Vivek the Cuck.
Vivek the Cuck, yep.
Vivek the
Alexia the based. Sofa Sill, even more based.
Yeah. Where does Elder Scrolls Online? Where does Elder Scrolls Online stand out as an MMO? Where would you raise an MMO?
I would say that Elder Scrolls Online is unique in an as being an MMO, specifically because the community that they have built throughout the decades from Elder Scrolls is now finally getting to come together and play and join hands
Yeah.
and actually do stuff together instead of just talking about it online separately doing their
There's
own.
guild houses. I play role playing. I run D&D games on ESO.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential for role playing in ESO as well.
Role playing events, it's great. You can run your own D&D games on it. There's guild halls. There's a lot of emotes. A lot of like. Okay, what do you?
Infinite amounts to express yourself.
How do you like to express yourself? What does your guy look like?
Personally, I run two separate builds. One of them is a Khajiit Dragon Knight.
Okay,
Two-handed.
furry.
Yeah, you're gonna call me a scaly after this one. The one that I have the most time in is an Argonian Battle Mage Dragon Knight build.
Same.
Yep.
Templar.
Yeah. Templar is a really good class. I'm trying to get into the Necromancer and Warden build, but I don't know. Those builds just aren't for me.
What's your favorite activity in ESO?
My favorite activity in ESO.
Dragon hunting.
100%. Mine is dungeon raiding, but dragon hunting is
Nice.
really fun too. I really love the dragon hunting and elsewhere. There's just always people hunting dragons. You can just run around elsewhere, randomly find groups of people.
What about Imperial City?
Imperial City? I actually
Please,
haven't explored much of the PvP in ESO
It's
yet.
highly recommended. It's a massive PvP, PvE war zone. They took Imperial City from Oblivion, as in it's right down the tiniest detail. The city is full of Daedra, and there's like Daedra bosses and demons all over the place. You have the three alliances fighting for control, while at the same time killing Daedra and fighting them at the same time, getting a crap ton of rewards and loot. And Imperial sewers, it takes 2 hours to get from one end to the other, and you even get to fight an aspect of Morlock Ball at the very core of it. There's Daedra all over the place. It's like a demonic hellscape, and it's a brilliant nightmare and joyful. It's like San Francisco. That's why I call it one of my videos. It's literally San Francisco.
It sounds like San
Demons,
Francisco.
the free end of days. It's great. No issues with people from Los Angeles, but yeah, you guys kind of yeah.
Yeah, Uptown LA. Basically just the Imperial City. Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah.
Lots of craziness going on there.
So back to Skyrim. What was your favorite story? What makes Skyrim stand out in your opinion as a role playing game?
What makes Skyrim stand out as a role-playing game? There is just so much you can do. There's so many paths you can take. There's so many quest lines you can explore down the path of. You can go to the Thieves Guild. You can go to the Dark Brotherhood. You can role-play as a soldier in the Civil War quest line, or you can just do the regular story mode, which is really good. It's really detailed. I personally wish they explored more into Alduin's history, but that's a story for another time, I guess. I think they did really good with with all of the battles, all of the fight scenes planned out.
I want them to bring back Arena. I want them to bring back the Coliseum. I want that return someday.
Yeah, there's actually a really good mod called The Pit that you can download, where you are it's basically like the Oblivion Arena.
Nice.
It's in the sewers of Riften.
Imagine this on ESO. The next PvP zone. They created an arena, a coliseum of sorts, and you place bets.
That would be awesome. Just like in Oblivion, the arena.
That'd be awesome.
That would be great.
What's your favorite Elder Scrolls game of all time? If you had to pick a single player,
My favorite Elder Scrolls game of all time.
Even
the
Blades.
single player. Honestly, I haven't played it, but I have watched such an incredible amount of playthrough of it. Would be Daggerfall. It was absolutely massive. The story was incredible. We got to see so much. The map was absolutely huge. I think the map was actually like 16,000 miles or something like that. Square
Yeah.
miles. It was huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Open-ended. Open-ended.
And the dungeons were always randomly generated, which always made for a great dungeon crawling experience. There was a lot of loot. You could do a lot in that game. The role playing, the level up system was great. The skill system was fantastic.
Right. How do you feel with the new expansion pack for ESO coming out? Stoked for it? Happy?
I am super excited for it.
The Lovecraft vibes.
Yeah. I've heard a few theories that it's going to be similar to, I don't know if any of you listening have read the Gregory Keyes books, Lord of Souls, which we have here with us. But I'm thinking that it will have something to do with Umbra, which is he's kind of like a Daedric Lord. However, he was created from a split off of Clavicus Vile from his power. A witch actually tricked him and took his power and instead made a sentient sword, which isn't what Clavicus Vile wanted, but it's what happened. And that sentient sword actually became kind of a Daedric Lord himself with even his own pocket of oblivion, which was incredible. That's a super nice piece of lore. I highly recommend you read the Gregory Keyes novel series.
I wish there were more Elder Scrolls novels. I really do. By the way, you might be interested in this. You know the guy who wrote Morrowind?
Yeah.
You know he has his own book series online that takes place after, like his own fan fiction that he wrote about his version of Elder Scrolls.
Really?
Yeah, you know how it ends? It ends in the Ninth Age. Tamriel gets blown up, and the Khajiit are the only survivors, and they fly away in a magic rocket ship to the moon.
Huh.
It gets really weird. Like, there's literally a book part of one of the books where the gods, all the Aedra, are literally in body, partying up in their version of, like, heaven or Mount Olympus. Talos is getting drunk with Amara. I would highly recommend it. It's like, I wish that was actually a book series, you know?
Yeah.
I wish Elder Scrolls was a novel. There were more novels to Elder Scrolls. I really do.
Yeah, for sure. What about what actually happened in lore, anyways, to the Nerevarine?
Oh, speak. All right.
That would actually be my dream, Elder Scrolls expansion, where if they introduced Akavir, the second continent.
So let me ask you this question. You're a lore nerd for Elder Scrolls, probably more so than I am. It feels like there's a lot of conflict between theories, both in universe and amongst the fan base. Like, which religion is true? What's the proper name for the god? How Nirn was created? How do you feel about that?
I think that the way that Elder Scrolls has been built, everybody is up for their own interpretation, and because of how it's structured, their interpretations can be correct simultaneously, even though they might fight amongst each other due to conflicting theories or conflicting religion. I think that all of it is correct because each god is unique. They all exist, which is obviously true in the Elder Scrolls. If you've played it, you know their existence.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a fan theory. What would you do if you were a writer in Bethesda? What game would you tell?
I would definitely 100% start pushing towards an Akavir Elder Scrolls. That would be awesome.
I would do Elder Scrolls about Talos.
Yeah.
Come on, that'd be awesome.
That'd be pretty cool. That like a little spin-off series, kind of like the Elder Scrolls Adventures.
Yeah, or like Blades. Yeah. Yeah. What's your hope for the Elder Scrolls going forward? Where do you see it going?
I've actually thought a lot about this in the past. I feel like this is a lot farther in the future, but 30 years from now, I feel like we'll see some Elder Scrolls game where the technology is super advanced, where
SAO.
Yeah, where we can run around and we can explore every area of the world from Akavir to this would be a good one too, where we go back in time and explore the lost continent of the elves.
Damn.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the elves? You hate them or you like them?
I'm super conflicted. I despise the Thalmor. I think they are deplorable. I think they are the worst representation of any sentience. Any sentient creature
They're cocks.
Yeah, they're all cucks. They're ultra cucked.
They're elven Nazis.
That's exactly what they are. That's an apt description. The wood elves, I love them. They're awesome. The dark elves have like the best. They have a super deep, unique lore and culture.
Yeah.
Compared to the other ones, a lot of people don't consider the orcs elves, but they are.
I do.
Descended from elves, yeah, in the Elder Scrolls universe. They also have a super distinct culture, super interesting lore as well, which involves literally being their god, Trinimac, literally being eaten and shit out by Boethia. That is one theory of how the orcs were created. This is my favorite theory of all time. But overall, I like the elves. They're pretty good. The beast folk are preferably my favorite of all time because the
beast folk.
Yeah, the
Khajiit Argonians.
Yeah, the Khajiit are they're
furries.
If you want to call them that, I think they are super highly intelligent creatures. The Argonians are descended from literal lizards. However, the trees.
The Hist.
Yep.
Which is a hive mind, right?
Kind of, yeah. The Hist are the beings that gave the Argonian sentience. They take the form in Nirn as trees. Their sap is extremely special. It's used as a drug by a lot of people in the Elder Scrolls universe.
Yeah, so tell me, correct me if I'm wrong, are elves and humans descended from the same race?
It depends on what theory you believe, yeah. The High Elves believe that they were descended from the Aedra, and they were placed there purely to suffer. Which is a super pessimistic.
What's your favorite faction to join every game?
My favorite faction to join every game?
Dark Brotherhood.
Dark Brotherhood? Yeah, they're pretty cool. I am a Thieves Guild enjoyer. I do love Nocturnal as a Daedric Lord.
Companions.
The
Companions
are pretty good too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, does the lore from do you feel like is there a canon to Elder Scrolls, and how do you think the lore carries from one game to the next?
There is a canon, and the lore carrying from one game to the next. They usually do it in increments.
Yeah.
Which I like. The only issue I have with the lore would be these things that they have called dragon breaks.
Yeah, it's not a theory. That's what ESO is. It's a dragon break.
Yeah, that's what the theory about ESO is it's a dragon break. It's basically where timelines like smash into each other, and they like collide and then they separate, but they go off in their own directions after colliding with each other. So each timeline had an effect on each other.
Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me this would be a cool Aedra to sell your soul. A good Aedra to join. The freaking orgy goddess.
Dibella?
Yes.
Dibella?
That'd be awesome, man. That'd be an awesome cult to join.
Well, then you want to go to Helga's bunkhouse in Riften. She loves Dibella. She knows all about Dibella.
And she's a quote-unquote good goddess, right?
Yeah, quote-unquote.
Are the Aedra really good, or are they just order?
The Aedra are gods that don't really interfere with the universe that much.
Or the Data are the gods that like to interfere.
Yeah, they love to interfere, actually. That's their whole thing.
Yeah. So closing down, last two subjects I want to talk about. What are the themes what would you recommend Elder Scrolls fans or new players? What would you recommend to them, and what stands out about this game? Why would you recommend it?
If I were to recommend anything to the new players of the Elder Scrolls fan base, I would actually, specifically, I would go for the history buffs. They would love the Elder Scrolls because it's just so full and rich of interesting lore and history. And I would tell them that you can basically, if you have issues in real life with expressing yourself, the Elder Scrolls is a really good outlet to express yourself in real time.
Yeah. I guess in the end, do you feel positive about the direction the Bethesda's taking Elder Scrolls in and its games in general? How do you feel about Dan Hartman? Not Dan Hartman, with the guy who made Elder Scrolls and frickin' Fallout. What's his name?
Todd Howard.
Todd Howard. How do you feel about him?
I'm super optimistic about Todd Howard's direction with the Elder Scrolls. I trust him fully to take the Elder Scrolls in the correct direction.
All right.
I'm hoping he will explore more into the other continents of the Elder Scrolls universe somewhere in the near future. But as for right now, I am content with the way he's doing things. I think he's doing things really well.
Yeah. This is a good time to be a Bethesda fan.
It's true.
All right.
Bethesda's making big moves.
Yeah. Well, that's been enough for now. Thanks for being on the show, Tavian.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'd love to be on again.
Yeah, you Imperial cuck. Stormcloaks all the way, man.
Stormcloaks can keep saying that, but they're all just brainwashed.
Hey, we are proud sons of the North, okay?
Proud sons of the
We are
Thalmor.
proud sons of the North.
Proud sons of the Thalmor.
Hey, we keep the land of Skyrim pure.
I mean, incest is... it's one way to look at it.
No. We keep those filthy non-humans out of our lands. All right. Thanks for being on the show, man.
Absolutely.
Till next time, folks. Stay sane.
See ya.